Welcome back, Patriots. We're back with another episode, or I guess special episode, of the Bald Brad Show, where we will be tuning in to the White House press briefing, the first press briefing in 2 weeks. It's been 14 days since we've last had a briefing. Let's go ahead and check in with the stream. How does the audio and video, folks, look to all of you? We're trying to still figure out Rumble. For some reason, Rumble will not let me go live. Not exactly sure why that is the case, but we'll have to figure that out here as the stream goes on. But we are live, I believe, on YouTube, live on Twitter. And again, we are trying to figure out Rumble and see why Rumble will not allow us to go live. But, you know, that's probably a hiccup on my end more than anybody else's. So let me see if I can get the information for the live stream and maybe just add a new target. Let's see. Rumble. How's everybody doing in the chat today? We had a phenomenal morning show. We go live every single morning, Monday through Friday, with special episodes on Saturdays and Sundays as well. So let's see if that works with Rumble. And let's see if Rumble will allow us to go live now. Let's see. If not, then we'll figure it out. Not exactly sure what's going on, but we are here on YouTube nonetheless. YouTube is good. Rumble video is no-go. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Rumble. We had it figured out earlier. It's probably a hiccup on my end. Don't know why, but at least we're on one or the other. What I can do here while we're just chatting, again, we're just waiting, folks. We're just waiting for the press briefing. As you can see, 18 minutes and 22 seconds. I do have some stuff for all of you, but I wanted to see if we can get the stream going here. And when I click live, for some reason, it does not want me to do the live. Rumble is good now, just delayed. Really? We're on Rumble? Okay, let me look. I don't know how. Oh, we are on Rumble. Okay. All right. That's weird. Just delayed a little bit. Well, that's fine. At least we're there and it's working. It's cooking. It's Rumble. Not you. No, it is. It's me, Roy. Rumble's working. It's just me. I'm trying to utilize a new platform that Rumble offers, and it's a learning curve for me. So it's nothing against them. It's most likely user error. Well, let's jump a little bit into the news here. Joe Biden just gave a speech. We're all still trying to figure out what that speech was about. And then we'll jump into the press briefing whenever Karine Jean-Pierre decides to take the podium. I just want to make you guys aware, she is chronically late, like all the time. Same thing with Joey. I see y'all in the live chat. We got Willie. We got Patriotic Troll. Well, I combined Patriotic Troll with Roy because I see Roy there. And it kind of just, you know, worked itself together. We got Sharon in here. We got a lot of people. Hit that like button, folks, and leave us a comment down below. Let us know how you think this whole thing is going to go down. Okay, so we are on Rumble. We're just delayed a little bit. That's fine. Perfect. Okay. Don't know why the studio's not working, but that's for another day. We'll figure it out. We're live on all platforms here. I had to do a workaround, and that seemed to work. So, okay. Well, with that being said, let's jump into it. So here's Joe Biden. Crooked Joe, predictably dazed and confused, and shuffles in for remarks on extreme weather. Everything's extreme nowadays, folks. Nothing is just normal. Nothing is just as it is. Here he is, chauffeuring himself in, shuffling, wondering, where'd you guys take me? Ooh, the audio is really low. Oh, there we go.
Well, good afternoon.
So surprisingly, the audio wasn't my fault. That was just the video itself. I'm like, dude, where's my audio at? Like, everybody's so quiet. You know, where's the pump in Joe's step? Where's everybody rooting for this guy? They're like, ah, shit, we got to deal with Joe again. Like, who's going to change his diaper this time? Oh, the misery, the misery. So Biden has absolutely no idea where he's at. Like, he probably thinks he was going to get taken out for some ice cream. Well, lo and behold, Joe, nope. You were chauffeured out to tell us about how climate change is affecting the globe again.
Upgrade our infrastructure so that our city is more resilient. We know that this is the hard work of government. The quality of our lives and our children's lives depend on this work. Upgrade our infrastructure so that our city is more resilient. We know that this is the hard work of government. The quality of our lives and our children's lives depend on this work. Upgrade our infrastructure so that our city is more resilient. We know that this is...
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to replay it because you're almost in that stage of shock. Of like, did she just really say what she said? It really is a remarkable thing here. Kamala 2.0. Absolutely. So if you guys are just joining us again, we're just waiting for the White House press briefing to kick off. It could take place at any moment now. It's supposed to start at 11:30. As I mentioned, as somebody that kind of sits through this each and every day, she is chronically late. Chronically late. This lady's like never on time. So again, we're just waiting here for you. Don't worry. We got it all set up. We'll know right when it goes live. The question is, who are we going to get for Fox News? Are we going to get Jackie Heinrich, Peter Doocy? I mean, heck, we'll see what happens. We're expecting a lot of questions about Joe Biden leaving the Democrat Party. Is Joe Biden going to take a cognitive test? I would love somebody to ask that question. I've been begging for that question for years, and it has yet to be. I think Peter Doocy asked one in the past, kind of slightly like that. Well, Biden is announcing first ever federal safety standard for excessive heat in the workplace.
And when finalized, will establish the nation's first ever federal safety standard for excessive heat in the workplace. This includes things like developing response plans to heat illness, training employees and supervisors, implementing rest breaks, access to shade and water. You'd think we'd have to tell people access to shade and water. But gradually easing new employees into heat environments. Across the country, workers suffer heat stroke or even die just doing their jobs. And when
jeez, please, just the strength. Remember, they get this guy in certain hours of the day, so he's the sharpest, so he's the most clear. The guy's not with us, folks. I mean, he hasn't been with us for quite some time here. I mean, I know you guys know that, but I mean, they've gone so far as to like paint this guy up. In morning episode, we showed you how they painted him orange. The mortician fucked up. You know, when you ask for, hey, you know, I love my loved one done up really well. I want them to look normal. You can't make Joe look normal. Joe is dead. Joe is just trying to make it through the day himself, and they keep chauffeuring him out through all these places. So he announces White House Summer on Extreme Heat.
Later this summer, my administration will convene the first ever White House Summer on Extreme Heat, bringing together state, local, tribal, and territorial leaders and international partners who are protecting communities and workers from extreme weather every single solitary day.
Impressive. That's your president, you guys. I know you didn't vote for him, but his brain malfunctions again. But don't worry. Again, we heard for 4 years, this guy's sharp. He's fit. He's there with you guys. He's keeping up with everybody. Hey, his own staff can't keep up with him. That's what we were told from the White House, and I'm sure we'll hear again. Watch how Karine Jean-Pierre just tries to spin how cognitive Joe is. So again, we're waiting for the White House press briefing, fully aware. Here's Joe, brain not working.
So folks know these resources are available to them and anyone who needs them. I was telling the group who briefed me earlier, my brother has an expression, you got to know how to know. So folks.
It's too good. Can we watch it again together as a community of the Bald Brad Army, baby? Can we watch it again?
So folks know these resources are available to them and anyone who needs them. I was telling the group who briefed me earlier, My brother has an expression, you got to know how to know.
Yep. Yeah, you got to know how to know. Okay, Joe. All right, you're going to tell all of us how things work. Gotcha. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. Well, Democrats are still panicking, and this just came out. I mean, this is like just a few minutes ago, or longer than a few minutes ago, but not too long ago, where now Democratic governors are seeking meeting with White House after Biden's poor performance debate. So they're all scrambling behind closed doors. They've been doing this for what? I mean, 5 days now? Some Democratic governors are seeking a meeting with the White House. Let me just make sure real quick. Oh, no, we got flagged. Just kidding. President Joe Biden, in the aftermath of his poor debate performance, multiple sources with knowledge of the discussion told CNN the concern for some of the nation's Democratic governors were aired on a call Monday organized by Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. One of the sources said the call was attended by governors only. On the call, some of the governors expressed surprise that a few of them had not heard from Biden himself about his debate performance. What do you expect, Joe to dial numbers? Joe doesn't know what's going on. There was a strong sentiment on the call that they needed to hear from Biden directly on the matter. Joe, tell us you're okay, please. Please, Joe, God, we need you. They have nobody. There was also some discussion of having Vice President Kamala Harris address them. The governors, one of the sources said, were worried about going public with their concerns out of fear that it would lead to Biden digging in further. Plans for the meeting at the White House are underway, but it has not been scheduled. You guys, they are freaking out. They don't know what to do. They have absolutely no clue what to do. They have no solutions. They've taken polls. They can't put Gavin Newsom out there because Gavin Newsom in the polls isn't beating Trump. Joe Biden's the only one that's closest to the margins of maybe beating Donald Trump. And like I said, depending on the poll, with the margin of error itself, in one poll you have Trump winning, in another poll you have Biden winning. So it's razor thin margins. They can't put up Kamala Harris because Kamala Harris polls are worse than Joe Biden's. They can't put forth Nancy Pelosi because she's just as far gone as Joe is. Who are they going to throw out there? They have nobody. I mean, maybe RFK, but after the damage they've done to that guy, he's not even running, I think, Democrat, right? Isn't he going for like an independent party or something? So what are they going to do? They don't know. They don't know what they're going to do. Truly remarkable stuff, folks. Truly remarkable stuff. We're trying some new things on Rumble here. We'll give one of them a go, folks. We'll try to get an ad sponsor here for those that are over at Rumble with all of us. You guys know that I love coffee. And the tough thing to do with coffee here is try to find a brand that not only tastes good, but also a brand that actually aligns with your values. And you guys know we're a morning show. We go live 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. So for me, I'm usually about 2 or 3 cups of coffees deep before we even get into sharing a cup of coffee together, like we are right now. And I got to be careful because that bad boy is topped off. Well, it's time to say goodbye to Starbucks, folks. I call it $5 and say hello to Rumble's $17.75 coffee. This is a ad for all of you. Unlike other brands, this is a coffee that backs free speech and is unapologetic about it, which we absolutely love here. Visit 1775coffee.com. Use the promo code STUDIO40, all one word, to get 40% off any coffee subscription. The coffee comes in medium and dark roasts. If you're an all-American man, you're going to have both of them. It also comes in pea berry, which is similar to like a Kona type coffee if you love Kona. In other words, this stuff is premium brand, baby. We only give the good stuff here. How do you think the beard gets so thick, folks? It's the coffee. Click on the link in the live chat if you're over at Rumble or YouTube, the description. You can also go directly to 1775coffee.com and use the promo code STUDIO. Promo code STUDIO40 to get 40% off today, folks. Holy lordy, that is a deal for all of you. Head over again to 1775coffee.com. Use STUDIO40 to get that 40% off today. Would love to support brands like that one. That is our first ad here on the Bald Brad Show. And I think we did it well, and I think we did it justice. Because look, it is true. We drink coffee together every morning, and you need a brand that you can trust. And there is real coffee in there. I'm going to spill this. I'm going to spill it. Oh, there you go. You saw a little bit of it. Well, with that being said, they're trying to get rid of Joe. They don't know what to do. They're doing meetings behind closed doors. They're scrambling like no other. And that's why they need to get Karine Jean-Pierre out there. And as I mentioned, we're still waiting for the White House press briefing to come up. Now, it should be any minute now. She said she's going to go live at 11:30. I didn't see the link on Rumble. It should be on Rumble. If not, 1775 Coffee. 1775coffee.com. It should link. Yeah, it's there. It's over at Rumble Live. Very good sponsor read, not cringe. Hey, thanks, Willie. That's kind of you. It's my first sponsor read ever, so. Not cringe. Hey, you know what, though? You want to know why, honestly, it's not cringe? It's because it's a patriotic brand, baby. You know what I mean? 1775 Rumble Coffee, medium and dark roast. What's not to like about that? You know what I mean? Rumble's here for free speech. YouTube, you've seen what they're trying to do to us behind closed doors, and that's why we're trying to work with Rumble now to get up and going, and we are on Rumble right now. What I need to do is figure out a better way of integrating YouTube and Twitter into all this, but don't worry, we'll take care of it. That's my user on my end. So we got a lot of people in here. We got Paul. We got Mud Whistle. Stacy, good to see you. Neil, God bless you, brother. Neil's a member. We got Robert, who's a member in here. Big Weave. I think Big Weave tossed me an invite not only on Rumble, but also on Twitter. We all are over at Twitter. Kelly, y'all, is a member as well. Good to see you, Kelly. Look at all the members in here with those badges. It looks good. It looks good. If you want to become a member, it's 99 cents. If you want to go $4.99 above and beyond, you can. Don't feel like you have to, folks. It's just there for those that want to take part in it and be just kind of with the growing community that we're building here, folks. Salute you too, my friends. Salute you. So Nebraska Democrat Party Chair says, I am fully confident that President Biden has the ability to bring America into the next 100 years. Joe, why would you say something like that? Joe's not even going to make it another 4 years.
There's no question that there are concerns about his age. I am fully confident that President Biden has the ability to not only do the job, but to bring America into the next 100 years of energy, next 100 years of infrastructure, next 100 years of education.
Stop it. Stop it. They act like Joe hasn't been in office for 3 years to do all these things, you guys. They act like he hasn't been with us. I mean, it's a remarkable thing, right? You're running for re-election. He goes, I'm going to figure out immigration. What do you mean, Joe? It's been 3.5 years, bud. You haven't done anything. Matter of fact, your first few hours in office, you removed a lot of Trump's policies that created this bleep storm for all of us. But don't worry, he's going to get to it, you guys. He's losing sleep over it. He has it all figured out. How about the economy? Let's pump the economy full of trillions of dollars and get some sort of result out there that's otherwise wouldn't be inflation, but that's all you got and is more inflation. But he's going to figure it out because he hasn't done so in 3.5 years. So if you give him another 3.5 to 4 years, you guys, you bet your tushy he's going to figure it out. This guy. And people believe it. People are totally suckered into it. If he hasn't figured it out in a year, 2 years, 3 years, what makes you think he's going to figure it out in another 4? Like, hand to God, like, what really do you think needs to happen for him to figure it out? Because he can't figure out how to tie his own shoes. But somehow these people, speaking of Democrats, that he's just going to figure it out. I don't get it. Is he obsessed with a ring? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means. Sometimes I'm not in the loop. The chat's going pretty fast, and I don't, quite frankly, have glasses on. How y'all doing today? Again, I see you on the live chat. We got CC. CC, girl, you're not late. You're right on time. You want to know who's late? In about 2 minutes, Karine Jean-Pierre will be late. That's who's going to be late. That's who's not going to be with us in the next few minutes here. And again, she's known to be chronically late. And you want to know who else is known to be late? Joe Biden. It's remarkable how her and her boss get along so freaking well. So well. They keep blaming Republicans. They blame Republicans for everything. They're blaming us for what's going on with the one that's the most crazy, really. I mean, the one that really just blows my mind is the whole idea that Republicans are to blame for illegal immigration. That one I will never be able to wrap my head around. I mean, we've campaigned on it. I mean, for what? Since 2016, so you're going to 8 years. We've been talking about, hey, you know what? We want to fix the border. We don't want 10 million people to pour across. We want legal immigration. We want to make sure that we take care of it. Roy, join the Bald Brad Army. Look at that. Thank you, sir. Welcome. 99 cents a month. You could feed a bald conservative. Just kidding. those commercials for like 10 cents a day, you can feed a village of like 20 people, which is a good thing to do, which is a very good thing to do. So, senior Biden official, Biden, not a pleasant person to be around. Now, we've heard this before. Big Weave with the $10. God bless you, sir. Thank you so much. You guys are coming out of the gates hard today. You guys are coming out of the gates swinging. Look at you. Trump should make an ad with Biden saying his, you get back up. Can we find that? Let me see if I can find that for you. If you fall down, you get back up. That poor guy, dude. Man, he just really came out thinking that he had it, and he didn't. He didn't have it whatsoever. I'll see if I can find it in real time. There's a lot of Biden speeches out there, and God, that was cringy. But the one thing I do want to talk about here is Biden is not a pleasant person to be around. People are scared shitless of him. Now, we've heard of Biden yelling at his staff, yelling at the teleprompter, seeing him yell to the American people through numerous of speeches. The most latest one would have been the one that he gave him, was it February, the State of the Union? I think it was February. Well, if he's yelling like that in public, can you imagine what the guy's like behind closed doors? Can you imagine how psycho this dude is? A senior Biden administration official reportedly said this week that the president is not a pleasant person to be around at work, and that people are genuinely terrified of him. I mean, look what he does to little girls. I'd be terrified of him as an adult, too. He might try to grab me or something. Hey, get over here. What are you wearing? What does it smell? The remarks come as President Joe Biden has faced widespread calls to step down following his disastrous debate against former President Donald Trump last week. The closer we get to election, you guys, he can't do it. And by the way, I don't think he could do it already with the delegates that are here. I don't think it's possible. He's not going to bow out. This is who they're stuck with, and they have to deal with it. And the question is not, well, how do we get him out now at this point? The question is how do we spin this? And how do we get the American public to have faith in this guy? Well, the answer is you can't. You can't chauffeur him out. He's not healthy enough. He's not with us. So what do you do? Because he's not taking reporters' questions. That's why you're seeing Karine Jean-Pierre on the podium any moment now, hopefully. That's why during his speech, today or just yesterday, it was a 4-minute speech talking about Supreme Court, and he just walked away. He didn't take anybody's questions. The dude just walked off. He just left everybody. A lot of you are loving the sponsor. All right, now it's great. 1775 coffee. Check it out, folks. 1775coffee.com. Would love for you to support our first ad here on the Bald Brad Show. We are growing, folks. That's why we would love for you to become members. Love for you to get behind American Patriot that supports you, and you support me. It goes both ways, folks. So Joey's screaming at behind closed doors at people again. It's like you can't include that. That will just set him off. Or that he likes that, said one senior administrator officials. So it's like they can't even talk to the guy. They got to walk on eggshells, which is probably the worst thing you could do, because as president, you need people with differing opinions and need people that are going to sit there and tell you one thing that maybe contradicts what you're thinking in your mind and really challenge you on your own ideas, because we're not always right. I mean, you guys know me. I've been wrong probably countless times. You're probably sitting there yelling at your screen, Brad, you're just wrong on that. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Hey, and that's okay. That's why we have a community here where you can leave it in the comment section like, hey, man, I disagree with you on this, and this is why, and I'll read it and respect it. You know what I mean? That's what we're here for. And quite frankly, that's one of the original methods of the show, was to do it so I could look back and look how much of an idiot I am on what I said in the past. And I'm sure there's been a lot of those. Like, hey, man, I probably shouldn't have said that. This is a big one right here. Real-time reaction. He doesn't take advice from anyone other than those few top aides. That's not what you want to hear. That is not what you want to hear. And it becomes a perfect storm because he just gets more and more isolated from their efforts to control it. So now it makes a little bit of sense of like, there are puppets that are running the show. As he's looking for that confirmation bias of, hey, you know, what do you think about this? And all his leftist progressive aides that are sitting here wanting to destroy the country are enabling this confirmation bias of like, no, it's a good idea, President. Maybe you should do this. Let's just open up the borders. Everything will be fine. We'll figure it out later. What about the terrorist port across the border? Mr. Jesus, Mr. President, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out later. I'm so sorry. I was trying something new. Did I not tell you she's going to be fashionably late? Did I literally not call it? I told you. Look, we're still waiting for her. Folks, they haven't even started the stream yet. And what I mean by that is they haven't even put it on camera. We could be sitting here for 30 minutes. She's fashionably late all the time. This is nothing new. And then she'll come up and give a reason. Oh, sorry, I was meeting with the president. Or, oh, sorry, I was doing this. Or, oh, sorry, this guy, that. It's like, why can't you just be on time? Like, everybody's waiting. You know what I mean? Like, it's so disrespectful. Like, if you have a meeting, cut your other meeting short. You're the one that screwed up, not me. Not the Patriots in the chat. Not the American people. I mean, how does that look? There's like 4,500 people waiting. Patriot Troll, we got another people joining. American Patriot, holy lordy, this guy's going Super Saiyan. I love it. Patriotic Troll, couldn't be more happy to have you join us here at the Bald Brad Show. God bless you, sir. Thank you so much. Part of the Bald Brad Army. Part of the best. She is literally the worst press secretary in the United States history. Absolutely. Jeff, you are correct, good sir. You are absolutely correct. You know, we said early on when Jen Psaki was leaving that Karine Jean-Pierre was going to be worse. And I believed it, but I didn't think she was going to be this bad. I mean, there's bad of like, yeah, you know, she'll probably keep on par with Jen Psaki. You know, we called her circle back because she didn't really answer any questions either. Come to find out, she answered more questions than Karine Jean-Pierre has. But I think the big thing, like I mentioned, is how is she going to spin this? How is she going to? I don't know. I mean, you'd have to be lying through your teeth, which she does. But to sit there and say that this guy's sane, she should be challenged on her old quotes that she's told to the White House press corps. And I hope they show up today, man. Not like literally physically. I hope they show up ready to do their damn job of questioning, why have you lied to us for the last 4 years? Which is kind of ironic because they work for the media. That's also lied to all of us for the last 4 years, right? Oh, no, he's fine. He's just falling off his bicycle. That's a normal thing to do while you're standing stationary. Ah, he's falling up a flight of stairs. How many of you, like how many people in your life do you know that's fallen up the flight of stairs multiple times? Like multiple times. Like how many of you know that? I don't know that. Like I know people that are deranged that fall up. Like we all slip every now and then. This guy slips a lot. I mean, he tripped over a sandbag at a graduation ceremony. And you know what? That wasn't even the biggest problem. It was the fact that he couldn't get himself back up. That was the biggest problem. When Joe sat there and fell, he couldn't physically get himself back up, but yet they're telling us that he's the most fit president ever. Joe Biden fall. Let's just watch it. And you be the ones to judge on this fall here. That you let me know what you think. So here he is at the graduation ceremony. Stacy, thank you so much becoming part of the Bald Brad Army. You guys are going super sane today. I don't know what is going on, but God bless you. Look at that. Wow. The army's building, baby. And the bigger the army, the bigger the movement, folks. And you know what these big tech companies are doing to us. You know they're censoring us, specifically the YouTube, which is why we're trying to show some love over at Rumble. If you haven't already, follow me over at Rumble so we can get a following and built up over there. Because look, YouTube, I would imagine sooner or later they're really not going to like what we're saying, and they're really just going to sit there and remove us. How do I know that? Look what they did to Dan Bongino. Look what they did to our boy Dan. They removed him. They've silenced other conservatives. We think and believe that they're doing shady stuff behind the scenes. Head over to Rumble. Toss us at least a follow. If you don't have an account, create one. They're friendly to us. They love us over there. Would love for you to join Rumble. Rumble's great. So here's him tripping over a sandbag. Where'd I go? Oh, this is, oh. Here's the part. Here, I'm going to play it. What you're going to see is he's going to try to get himself back up. He can't do it. Dude, that's rough. That is rough. In front of the Air Force Academy, man. I mean, that's the dude that's going to tell you to go into battle. That's the dude. You got a guy that can't pick himself back up. That's the guy that's supposed to tell you, I want you to go fight for your country. Make a difference out there. I'll be the one to tell you to go basically get blown up. Lovely. Oh, that's great. No, that guy's supposed to hit a golf ball farther than Trump. Can you imagine? Can you imagine Joe Biden? For those who are just joining us again, we're waiting for Karine Jean-Pierre. It ain't me. It ain't me. We're just filling time here, giving you the news. Karine Jean-Pierre is the one that's late, fashionably late all the freaking time. We called it. Did we not call it? I said, hey, you guys, she's going to be late. Just be prepared. The fact that we could be sitting here waiting for, you know, the diva to actually show up to her own press briefing on the time in which she told everybody. So really remarkable thing. Patrick, thank you, sir, for joining the Bald Brad Army. Pat's been a follower. He's over at Twitter. We read all his stuff. Pat is great, always active in the chat. Pat's like the first one here every day. And he says, I got my badge back, baby. Yes, you did, sir. And the badge looks good. Don't tread on me, badge. I forgot how many months you have to be to get that badge. But the Don't Tread on Me badge is sick. I think there's only like a few people that have the other like shield badges, which is insane. Gianna. Wait, is it Gianni? It's so tiny on my screen. I got to figure out how YouTube makes this bigger. Believe it or not, I'm supposed to wear glasses. I know, but I can't. So that's why you see me squinting. But thank you so much for joining the Bald Brad Army. We all see you, girl. We all see you. Watch, it's a guy. That'd be terrible. I'm totally screwing this up. Nashville, Tennessee. Thought about moving to Nashville. I live in the state of California, which is absolutely rough. Gavin Newsom's driving it into the ground. Let's see the people over at Rumble. We see Pat over at Rumble. We see Willie. Willie with the membership. Willie's joining over at Rumble. I didn't even know you could join over at Rumble. Can you subscribe over at Rumble? Hell yeah. Look at, I'm like, a lot of you are throwing Boomer in the chat earlier today. You know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm 35. I'm 35. I'm in my prime. You guys are so ridiculous in the chat. Like I said, a lot of times during the live show, it's tough for me to actually look at the chat because you guys crack me up. Oh, it's great that you're here. Really. I mean, look at this community, you guys. Look at this freaking community we have. Trash, California. Watching from Florida. That's a good place as well. Florida's free America. Basically any place other than New York City or what? You got New York, Portland, Seattle, Washington. Those places aren't safe. Yeah, she's sweating. Maybe she threw up. She's nervous. I like this break. Look at this breaking news. Soon, White House to face press for first time since Biden disastrous debate performance. But soon. When? She scheduled it. Is nobody going to give her shit for being late like ever? She's always late. Dude, it drives me up a wall. The reason why it drives me up a wall is, look, people's time is precious. And it's like, we're all sitting here. I mean, we're having a great time as a community, but it's like, dude, you set the time. So I guarantee you when she's going to come up, she's like, oh, sorry for starting late. I was being briefed by the president and he didn't know what was going on. So we had follow-up questions. It's like, sweet Jesus. Come on, lady. Come on, lady. Trying to read your guys' chat here while we're waiting for the press briefing. Just waiting. I keep refreshing the page like it's me, but it's not. It's just her. You guys are so crazy in the chat right now, dude. You guys can get me banned. They're already looking at us. They're already coming for us. You guys are popping off. Make me a little nervous over here. I guess we shouldn't be. We're also on Rumble and Twitter, baby. We're going to be taken care of. We're going to be fully taken care of. This was also big news that a lot of people were talking about today as well. Bragg does not oppose Trump's sentencing delay. So Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg-a-Bagel team said on Tuesday they will not fight a request by former President Donald Trump to challenge his guilty verdict in a hush money trial and postpone sentencing. That it's not hush money. Like, what was so hush hush about it? The guy put it on the books. He sat there and paid his lawyer, and in my opinion, actually jotted it down correctly. And the guy sat there and stole money from Donald Trump. And then now there's this whole hush money trial. Like, oh, he's trying to keep a porn star from talking. Blah blah blah. Like the guy paid money to his lawyer. He put it down as a legal expense, which is, if you're paying a lawyer, what else would it be classified as? And they sat there and got him on some paper trail thing. Like, isn't that crazy? I always make the joke that they went after Donald Trump for basically not paying a parking ticket on time. But in actuality, they sat there and just got him on a paperwork issue. That's really it. Wow. That's a great way to use the law for paperwork issues. You know who has a lot of paperwork issues in handling paperwork? Joe Biden. Because Joe Biden had classified documents everywhere. Joe Biden's habit of handling classified documents is so bad that when he went to Ireland on a family trip on taxpayer money, that there was classified documents found in the streets of Ireland. Did y'all know that? Look it up. Now, that's not necessarily, I keep saying, did I say Donald Trump? Joe Biden, when he went to Ireland on taxpayer money, he had classified documents found in the streets of Ireland. Now I sound like Joe Biden getting confused on everything. I think I said Donald Trump. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I need more coffee. Need more of that 1775 brew. Prosecutors sent a letter to the psycho judge stating their position after reports that Trump's attorneys reportedly sought permission to file a motion to challenge the recent conviction in New York after the Supreme Court ruled their client is immune from prosecution for official acts as president, although we believe defendants' arguments to be without merit. Okay. We do not oppose his request for leave to file and his punitive request to adjourn sentencing pending determination of his motion. Okay. Well, Bragg's out there eating bagels while we're sitting here still waiting for Karine Jean-Pierre to show up. Usually could tell if there's audio. Oh, she's live. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. So it looks like we're getting Jackie Heinrich for Fox. That's good news.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Steve, you're such a ladies' man. Okay, it's good to see everybody. Welcome back. I have a couple things at the top. I know it's been a while since we've done this, so please bear with me. So I want to begin by discussing the devastation caused by Hurricane Beryl, which President Biden just addressed directly. This already deadly storm was upgraded to a Category 5 storm as it heads towards Jamaica. The president has been briefed on Hurricane Beryl, and our administration is in close touch with territory and local officials. USAID and FEMA has resources and supplies pre-staged in the region with staff and partners ready to assist. We urge residents to stay vigilant and heed the warnings of local officials. You heard that from the president as well. Next, I want to express our disappointment in yesterday's district ruling, which blocked our temporary pause on pending approvals of liquefied natural gas exports. While congressional Republicans and their allies continue to deny the
Thank
very
you, Jeff, for joining
of
the
climate
Ball Brad
change,
Army.
President Biden is
Salute you, sir.
committed to combating the climate crisis with every resource available. That is why we will continue taking action to transition to a clean energy future and reduce emissions, creating good, paying clean energy jobs, and bolster resilience to the impacts of extreme weather. I'll now turn to sharing how we are delivering for American workers and lowering costs for them. Yesterday, the Biden-Harris administration began expanding overtime protections to millions of American workers. The Department of Labor's overtime rule extended overtime protections to 1 million workers making less than $43,888 a year. And next year, it will extend protections to another 3 million workers by increasing the overtime threshold to $58,656. That means higher paychecks or more time with family for millions of workers. While elected Republicans side with big corporations and special interests to try to deny workers these protections, President Biden is fighting for families. As a record Americans travel for the 4th of July, President Biden is taking action to lower gas prices. Today, we announced the sale of 1 million barrels of gasoline, which will lower gas prices, particularly in Northeast states such as Maine, New Hampshire, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. While President Biden has unleashed record energy production, including affordable clean energy, congressional Republicans are siding with big oil to give out tax cuts while keeping prices high for families. Now, this week, the president and his administration is marking the 60th anniversary of President Johnson signing the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This landmark legislation prohibited discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion,
Thank
sex,
you, Autumn, for
or
joining
national
us.
origin, and
I
serves
salute you.
as the legacy
Thank
of
you.
generations of courageous and extraordinary Americans who fought to fulfill the promise of our nation. Despite this critical step forward, securing our civil rights remains the unfinished fight of our time. That's why President Biden is fighting actively to protect the civil rights of every American. He signed a landmark executive order to protect voting rights and continues to urge Congress to pass the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and Freedom to Vote Act. President Biden appointed Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first black woman to be on the Supreme Court, and has appointed more black women to the federal appellate court than every other president in history combined. He's also creating opportunities for every American to thrive, investing historic amounts into HBCUs, and changing our country's failed approach to marijuana, which disproportionately impacts communities of color. You'll continue to hear more from this administration to mark this major anniversary. And finally, thank you for your patience. And finally, we have a few schedule updates, so wanted to share the following with all of you. This week, the president will speak with Hill leaders and Democratic governors. He will travel to Wisconsin on Friday. He will conduct a sit-down interview with George Stephanopoulos from ABC News while on the campaign trail. He will travel to Philadelphia on Sunday. And next week, I know you guys are going to be really excited about this, he will host a press conference during NATO. This is in addition to the previously announced events this week, and I will be happy to take your questions. All right, Colleen, go for it.
Here we go.
Thanks, Karine. So there are growing calls from Democrats, including members of Congress, for the president to step aside for the 2024 election because he's not capable of serving another 4 years. What is his response to this?
So let me just step back for a minute and I guess deal with the questions that have come in about the debate. And honestly, this is something that the president has addressed himself multiple times since this past Thursday. And first of all, I want to say we understand the concerns. We get it. The president did not have a great night, as you all know, and many of you reached out during the debate. The president had a cold. He had a hoarse voice. You all heard it. That's why you reached out. But I will say this, and the president said this over the past couple of days, certainly right after the debate. He knows how to do the job. And he knows how to do the job, not because he says it, because his record proves it. Because for 3.5 years, almost 4 years, the president's record has been unprecedented, delivering for the American people. Another thing that he said that I would add is he knows right from wrong. He knows how to tell the truth. And again, he knows how to deliver for the American people. Joe Biden is a person, take away his title. He is someone who has dealt with tragedy. He is someone who has confronted that head on. He is someone who knows how to get back up once you've been knocked down. That is something that he understands very, very well. And I think, and we believe, that's something that many of Americans across the country understand as well.
Can you guys believe that answer? Can you believe that? The first question and we get that answer, it's going to be a long briefing for her.
And he knows how to come back. He knows how to come back. And so the president's going to continue to focus on what he's been doing the past 3.5 years. He's going to continue to focus on the American people. And, to your question, just to add a little bit more to your question, look, you heard from Speaker Pelosi, you heard from Representative Clyburn, and let me just paraphrase a little bit of what they said. Speaker Pelosi, who's very close to the president, said, it is not about performance in terms of a debate. It's about performance in a presidency. And this is a president, you've heard me say this, we've talked about this. He's been able to give us an economic recovery, the strongest economic recovery in modern history. Let's not forget, during the midterms of 2022, many of you all, some of you in this room, said that it was going to be a red wave, and that didn't happen. He defeated Big Pharma. We have seen historic low in crime in more than down to 50-year low. And then you had Representative Clyburn, who said the president has done a great job leading for the last 3.5 years. The best predictor of future behavior is past.
Karine, if he's doing so great, why is the entire Democrat Party meeting with him behind closed doors to get him out of office or to not at least run again? Why is that? You don't want to highlight any of those, huh? It's amazing how she's cherry picking all these specific tweets and messages from people. Oh, you just had a tough time. You had a sniffle.
Performance. This is from Clyburn. And when you look at the record of President Biden versus former President Trump, you see President Biden, who has delivered the strongest recovery in modern history, versus the previous administration, whose plans hurts the middle class. And President Biden, who is committed to protecting our fundamental freedoms, versus the former president, the previous administration, doing everything that they could and they did to overturn Roe v. Wade, and they are responsible for that. And that's coming from two people who are not just leaders in Congress, but also close to the president.
I think part of the problem that Democrats are articulating is that it wasn't just that he had a cold, but rather he had, answers. He was trailing off. He didn't answer some questions in a sort of fulsome way. And speaking of Nancy Pelosi, one of the things that she recently said was that it was a legitimate question whether his performance was an episode or a condition. So I guess I wondered if there's been any consideration given to releasing a more robust set of medical records or something to show his mental acuity.
Thank you.
So I will say this, look.
This is what we wanted. Where's the cognitive tests? He won't do it.
And again, I get the question. It is a fair question to ask. We are not taking that away, and that's why the president certainly has spoken to this. As it relates to his medical records, we have been transparent. We have released thorough reports from his medical team every year since he's been in office. That is something that we have been pretty consistent about. As it relates to something like a cognitive test, to the question that you're asking me about what the speaker, former speaker, said. Obviously, she can speak for herself. His team, who has said, the medical team said it is not warranted in this case. We have put forward a thorough, transparent annual report on his health. So they have said that is not warranted. It is not necessary. Again, we understand. We understand. We're not taking away from what you all saw or what the American people saw. We understand. It was a bad night. It is not uncommon for incumbents to have a bad night on their first debate. And we are going to continue to do the work that we have been doing on behalf of the American people. I think the president's record certainly speaks for itself. Okay,
Thank you, Karine.
Bro, she doesn't even believe that. Look at her face like, well, shit, I gotta say what I gotta say. Well, we're not going to take away from the fact that you all saw this guy completely lose his mind. His marbles were gone. He was in another freaking galaxy, but no cognitive test because we're going to be transparent. He's fine.
You just reminded us that President Biden had a cold on Thursday. What medications was he taking in the days or hours leading up to the debate?
And I know that question has come in a couple of times to us. He was not taking any cold medication.
Was he taking any medication that would have interfered with his
He
performance?
was not taking any cold medication. That is what I can speak to. I've asked his doctor, and that's what he stated to us.
After the debate, did the president get examined by a doctor, or did he get a neurological scan?
A neurological scan? Look, what I can say is that...
This is awesome. This is so great. This is perfect.
Just to take a step back, it was a bad night. We understand that it was a bad night. And the president has spoken to this. And he understands that. And so I cannot speak to anything beyond what I just shared. The president has regular annual physicals that we release in a thorough report. We're going to continue to do that. I don't have anything else beyond that.
So was the last time he was seen by a doctor then in February?
I just don't have anything beyond that, beyond the question of a neurological exam.
Okay, well, you continue to say it was just a bad night, but is there an explanation then for why it was so bad? If it's not his stamina, if he prepared, as you guys say, for so long.
Thank you.
It's not a problem with his mental fitness. What happened that night? What did we see?
I will also add that the president also spoke to this as well. He said, I'm not as smooth as I used to be. I don't debate as well as I used to. I don't walk as...
But you guys just spent 3 years telling us the guy's sharper than he's ever been. She's the one that said it. She's the one that actually said this guy could take on anybody. Nobody could keep up with this guy.
Easily as I used to. But one thing that he knows is how to deliver for the American people. He understands that. He understands that he's not a young man, obviously. He said this. But his focus is going to continue to deliver for the American people on the issues that they care about: the economy, expanding health care, fighting for Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, making sure that we continue to be leaders on the world stage, which is something that this president has been able to do, and turn around the mess that this last administration created, as certainly on not just domestically but on the world stage. Okay.
Is anyone in the White House hiding information about the president's health or his ability to do the job day to day?
Absolutely not.
Given the fact that it's more than a bad night when his political future is threatened, would he be willing to provide more medical information? Would he be willing to have Dr. O'Connor provide more to answer these questions?
Look, Kelly-O, certainly understand the question, appreciate the question, but what we have provided has been very transparent.
But it's
has
not
been
recent.
has
And
been
the Country Watch.
But February was this year. It wasn't too long ago. It was indeed this year, and we provided transparent report, a thorough
There were
report.
many Americans who were concerned about his capacity. Was he okay? What happened? And we've now gone several days where he has only done teleprompter comments. He has not taken questions. I know you've announced a press conference.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. An interview. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
But there is a period of time here where the public is trying to understand what happened.
Yeah.
And the president could help to answer that by engaging with us in an unscripted way right now.
So let me just say a couple of things. There's a couple of things that you said that I do want to address. Number one, less than an hour after the debate, he went and he engaged directly with the American people, right? He went to a watch party. He was in a room with hundreds of supporters who watched the debate. And when he walked in, they cheered him on. And he did a photo line with them for some time. Some of your colleagues had an opportunity to speak to these supporters. He did that. And that was something that he was able to do right after. And then we stopped at a Waffle House, as some of you all know, and spoke to a packed restaurant. So he spent some time there. Then the next day, he went to North Carolina, spoke in front of hundreds of supporters there who said, "We support you, Joe. We love you, Joe." And so he was able to do that in those.
After that debate performance, they all chanted, 4 more years! 4 more years for Joey! Awesome. Drive our country further than the ground. Just great.
2.5 days or so after the debate, he went to 4 states and engaged with supporters, engaged with American people, everyday people, heard directly from them. And let's not forget, when we landed in North Carolina, I think it was like 2 a.m. in the morning, he engaged with supporters there as well. So the president has been out there. He's been listening to supporters. It's something that he loves to do, not just supporters, but American people out there, everyday people who appreciate what he does, who wants to hear more from him, as you just stated, and got that opportunity to do just that. I think it matters that he's going to do an interview on Friday. I think it matters that he's going to go to Wisconsin and do that, right? Engage with...
Stop traffic. The dude's finally doing an interview with press. Everybody notify the newspapers. Notify your friends and family. The president actually going to talk to people. Holy shit.
Everyday people. We're going to continue to do that. Nothing has changed in that regard. We're going to continue to be out there. He's going to be in Pennsylvania as well this weekend, as I just stated.
And one more. We're reporting that Hunter Biden has been in some meetings with senior advisors. Why is the president's son involved?
So a couple of things I saw that reporting as I was coming out. So a couple of things there. Look, the president, as you know, is very close to his family. This is a holiday week 4th of July. He spent time with his family, as you all know and reported, at Camp David. Hunter came back with him and walked with him into that meeting, that speech prep, and he ended up spending time with his dad and his family that night. That is basically what happened. It is a week where there's going to be more family members who are going to come to the White House. I'm sure you'll see some of them on 4th of July. Many more are expected to be here.
No issue with family being in the White House. The question, though, would be, is he participating in meetings with senior advisors?
What I can say is that he came back with his dad from Camp David.
Wow,
he
he
walked
is.
him into the speech prep, and he was in the room. That I can tell you, he was in the room. Anything else coming out of that reporting, I can't speak to, but I can say that, he's close to his family, which is not unusual. They were together at Camp David. They came back together. You're going to see a lot more family this week.
Dude, could he be advising the president? Hunter Biden could possibly be advising the president of the United States. It's one thing to be like Ivanka Trump or Eric Trump, like the people that actually have their head on straight advising their father because their head's on straight, but a guy that sits there and smokes crack cocaine off a dog's ass, I don't know.
Thank you, Karine. I want to go back to that question that Pelosi raised earlier today.
Sure.
Pelosi said it's a legitimate question to ask if this is an episode or this is a condition. Which one is it?
Well, what I can tell you is that he had a cold and a bad night. I would not see this as an episode. I would see this as what it was and what we believe it to be, which is it was a bad night. And he did, on top of that, he had a cold. And that is the reality of the situation. That is the reality of what happened that night.
You've certainly seen the reporting out there that this is not just a standalone instance, that other people are saying that this has happened before. One, do you see these as legitimate questions? And also, are you being straight with the American people on this?
I see it as a legitimate question. I do. And I have said it is a fair question to ask. The president sees it as a legitimate question. And I think also the president saying, I am not a young man. I'm not as a smooth talker as I used to be. I don't walk as easily as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. I mean, the president is admitting and saying, and this is not the first time, right? He's talked about his age. He's joked about his age many times before. And so you heard that directly from, and we are acknowledging what people are seeing. But we do believe this was in this instance, it was a bad.
Reporters need to bring up the fact of that's not what the media said, so they'd be shooting themselves in the foot. But if they don't want to go that route, the fact of what she's been saying for 4 years is the complete opposite of what she's saying now. I mean, it's a complete 180.
Bad night.
Is he disabled?
No, and let me finish with your colleague, please. And I know, but shouting out, come on. You know better. Come on.
Just one final question.
That was James Rosen in the back.
After the debate, we started to hear the concern from Democrats on Capitol Hill, calling it just flat out a disaster. Why didn't the president immediately personally reach out to leaders on Capitol Hill, like Leader Jeffries and Leader Schumer?
Look, I can say this. Right after the debate, we were on a 2.5-day swing, 4 states. The president was out there hearing directly from the American people, engaging directly from the American people. Obviously, he respects the Democratic leadership. It is leadership there that has helped him deliver for the American people an unprecedented record on behalf of Americans across the country. So we appreciate them for, obviously. But he was out there. He was out there directly with supporters, engaging with them, whether it was at a tarmac, whether it was at a rally, whether it was at a watch party, or a fundraiser. And I think that's important to note, too. And he was hearing from them. But at the same time, those leaders, Democratic leadership, was hearing from members of his team, high-level senior members of his team. It's not like we were silent. It's not like we were quiet. It's not like we were not engaging with them. We were. And now that the president's back at the White House, he's going to have some time to talk to these Democratic leadership on the phone. I mentioned Democratic governors. He's going to do it with leaders on the Hill as well. And that's important. And then he's going to go back out into the states, obviously, and talk to Americans there. So he's going to do both.
What's his message going to be to the Democratic governors and Hill leaders when he talks to them?
So I'm not going to get into a private conversation. We wanted to share these meetings. I know it was getting out there, it was floating out there, and I know it was, and we just wanted to confirm that that we were indeed having these conversations. But we normally, as you know, our posture is not to dive into private conversations. He'll have these conversations. I think they'll be important. They'll hear from him. He'll hear from them. But I also want to note that there is a regular engagement with whether it's intergovernmental affairs or the Office of Leg Affairs, regular engagement from my colleagues here with governors, with mayors, and also obviously with congressional leaders. That is something that is a regular engagement. Obviously, the president himself will engage with them this week.
Karine, does he still have a cold? He seemed to be clearing his throat a bit.
He still has a
at the
cold.
last event.
Yes,
Okay.
I asked him. He still has a cold.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Karine. You've said a couple of times now that the White House has provided thorough medical records for the president. The White House released a 6-page summary back in February. I don't think that was a full accounting necessarily. And Dr. O'Connor in that memo described the president as, quote, a healthy, active, robust 81-year-old male who remains fit to successfully execute the duties of the presidency. I think that is clearly not what the majority of Americans are seeing. And we have a new poll from CBS News that says 72% of registered voters say the president does not have the mental and cognitive health to serve as president. So are you saying that the majority of Americans are misguided and that they just need to trust Dr. O'Connor and take him at his word?
So a couple of things, and I want to say the president is feeling better, and you saw him last night, you saw him today, but he does indeed still have a cold. Look, I want to be very sensitive here, and I think it is important to be sensitive here. We understand how the American people are feeling. We get it. We do. And I do not want to take away from that. I'm not going to speak. I know that there was, you all did a poll, CNN did a poll. I'm not going to speak to every poll. I'm just not going to do that. And also, I'm constraints in doing that as we're heading into an election in November, as you know. What I will say is majority of Americans also support the work that the president has doing in a sense of his agenda and what he stands for, what he's been fighting for, whether it's reproductive rights, whether it's an economy that works for all. And that is something that the president is going to continue to do. And this is why we have said, and I have said this multiple times from here, is that's why the president acknowledges. We get it. We get what Americans are feeling. That's why he's acknowledging.
If you guys are wondering what I'm doing while I'm looking around, I'm just looking for the answer to the question. That's all I'm doing. I'm just looking for the answer. Completely blew it off. If you got nothing to hide, Karine, if the guy's all sharp up there, it's just a bad night. Do a cognitive test in front of the American people. Have it streamed live if he has nothing to hide. They won't do it because the guy's so far gone, she can't even sit there and believe it herself. And Evo, thank you so much for the $9.99, brother. Thank you. God bless you, sir. True American Page. Thank you for your support, man. I really do appreciate that. God bless you.
Acknowledging he's not a young man. That's why he's acknowledging he's a little slower than he used to be in walking and not as smooth as he did.
Walking.
We get that. But we also want to make sure that we point to the successes that he's had, his record, and we want to continue to build on his unprecedented record. And I'm not going to discount what the American people see or feel. What I can say is what we know from our side of things. We could speak to his record, and we could speak to what the president has been able to acknowledge. And I think that's important too. And that's basically acknowledging what Americans are seeing and feeling.
If you get it, why not release more about his medical, his physical and mental health? Why not?
What we have released has been very comprehensive. It has been. It has been transparent. And if you compare it, right, it has. We have put that out there. And, and we'll continue to do so, put that information out there. And MJ, I want to be very clear. I get the question that you're asking me. But this is also a president who has had a historic administration. He has, in delivering on legislation, key policies. That is because with age comes wisdom and comes experience. And I think that...
Yo, this is so insane, is it not? Like, this spin, well, the guy's slow, he's not sharp, fuck, he's falling apart, but with age comes wisdom. Holy lordy, Pat, thank you so much for the $2. I got my badge back. Look what I could do. Love it, brother.
That matters as well.
Did Dr. O'Connor watch the debate?
I believe Dr. O'Connor traveled with us to the debate. So
Did he have any concerns after seeing the
No,
president's
not at
debate
all.
performance?
Not
I
at
have
all.
one more question actually, Karine.
Sure.
The campaign's theory of the case with the president staying in the race has been that the president has a better shot of defeating Donald Trump than any other Democrat. We have a new CNN poll that shows the vice president actually has a slightly stronger showing against Donald Trump than the president. So how does the president explain not passing the baton to his own 59-year-old vice president given that kind of data?
So look, as you know, I'm constrained to speaking directly to your poll, and I get it, and I hear the question. I got to be mindful. That is something for the campaign, as you started saying, what the campaign has laid out, their argument of the case. That is something for them to take up, and that is something for them to answer. What I can speak to is the president's record, what I can speak to, what he's been able to accomplish, and the things that he's been able to do and get done is actually in line with majority of Americans, and I think that's important too, to note. And
What
again,
has he
I will
done?
say, with age comes wisdom and experience, and that's certainly something that the president brings. Go ahead.
Karine, we've seen some real anger expressed by donors and Democratic officials, sort of how you guys have handled the president, shielding him away from impromptu settings and denying, excuse me, until last week that there had really been any age-related slippage. So I'm wondering if you guys have had a moment to reflect on that strategy, any regret over it, and if, you know, what you would say to folks who think it's arrogant for there not to be either changes towards that strategy or with some of the personnel that are around the president.
And you're talking about the strategy specifically about who's around the president? Is that what
Well,
you're...
I think it's two parts,
Yeah.
right? One is a kind of small, concentrated group of aides that have been with the president for a very long time, and the other is sort of systematic decisions to shield the president from the impromptu moments that we've seen in previous administrations, whether it's press conferences or interviews or, you know, just being out in public more frequently.
I mean, look, a couple things there too. This year, the president has done more than 40 interviews, and unscripted, right? Those interviews are unscripted. He has done more than 500 gaggles, right? Of course, unscripted, talking directly to many of you. Well, let me just finish. And so he enjoys doing that. He enjoys engaging with all of you, and we're going to continue making sure that happens. I will say this. Obviously, this is a president that was a senator for 36 years. He was a vice president, as you all know. I'm just repeating things that you all know, for 8 years. And so he has long time, advisors that have been here with him for a long time. I don't think that's unusual. He also has people who are new to the administration that also advise him. Look, I've been in meetings with the president where it's been a diverse group of people, and he sees us, and he knows the reason why we're sitting in front of him is that we have something to share, and he wants to hear from all of us. I've heard him say,
he sees us. Yeah, he also sees dead people, Karine, and he's conversing with them. But we don't want to talk about that because, that would go against your narrative that this guy's fine, but he's a little bit old. Karine, why is he talking to dead people? Why is he looking for dead people in the crowd if he's completely fine?
Hey, what do you think? What do you think? And so my experience has been that world is indeed open, and that he does get to hear from a diverse group of people. That has been my experience. But it is not unusual for someone who has been around for that long of time to have a group of people that's been around him for a minute, right? And I think that makes sense. There's nothing about that is nonsensical. That actually makes sense. And we're going to continue to get him out in front of all of you to take your questions at a steady drumbeat.
You mentioned NATO, and I have
Yeah.
two questions. One's
Sure.
just a logistical one, which is you mentioned the press conference.
Yeah.
Is that going to be kind of the real big boy press conference that we're used to?
Did you say
or
big boy press conference?
like one of these 2-and-2s that might be a little more limited.
So I believe, and I know you guys are holding me to it, I believe it's a solo press conference. We'll certainly have more to share with all of you as we get closer to next week.
More thematically,
We support
Is
the
this-
big boy.
I'm about to say, big boy Justin
Yeah,
over here
yeah.
is asking some big boy questions. Okay.
what do the president's not the only leader
Yeah.
that's entering that NATO conference a little bit on the back foot. Emmanuel Macron has had some electoral losses. The UK is obviously going through a big election right now. With all these leaders kind of coming in to DC a little bit diminished, how is that changing how you're looking at the summit and what is possible to accomplish with it?
Look, it's a good question. I think one thing, as I talk about the president's record and what he's been able to do, right? He's been able to strengthen our worldview, the way that people see us across the globe, other leaders, our partners and allies, because of that experience. Again, with experience brings, with age brings experience and wisdom. And I think because of that, the president has been able to build a coalition. If you think about Ukraine and the aggression from Russia and what Russia has done to Ukraine as Ukraine continues to fight that aggression, to fight for their freedom and democracy, the president was able to bring 50 plus countries to support Ukraine, to support their fight. And so look, I will say that the president is looking forward certainly to hosting the leaders of our 31 NATO allies. As you know, two additional countries have joined NATO, and that's because, again, of the president's leadership. And next week in Washington, D.C., as you know, the historic summit is to mark the 75th anniversary of NATO's founding. So for 75 years, NATO has kept us and the world safer. And under the president's leadership, our alliance is stronger, it's larger, it's more united.
She just said you guys are safer. Folks, there's like 1,000+ terrorists in the country right now. Our country. But don't worry, you're safer. 10+ million people. We have no idea who they are. We don't know any idea about their criminal behavior in the countries of which they're fleeing from. But don't worry, you're safer, you guys. Astonishing.
United than ever. And so I think what you're going to see is that displayed next week right here in Washington, D.C. And I think I think you all would agree that the president played a very, very, very big role in where NATO is today. Okay, Jackie.
Thank you, Karine.
Here we go.
The administration strongly criticized the media for clips showing the president appearing to be confused, freezing at times, and you called it cheap fakes, misinformation, disinformation. In one case, even implied that it was the product of artificial intelligence, calling it deep fakes. Do you have any regret over using that language?
Not at all. Not at all. And let me be clear, it was a certain part of the media. And, I mean, you can speak to this better than I can. A certain part of the media which was doing this. And look, independent mainstream fact checkers in the press and misinformation experts have been calling out cheap fakes. And at the end of the day, they're fakes. That's what they were. Targeting the president. They had said, the reporters and these misinformation experts said that this...
She's quadrupling down. I mean, she admitted to saying deep fakes. People were saying she never said that. We said, hey, if you watch the entire clip, she says cheap fakes. At the very end of the clip, she says deep fakes, and she just confirmed that she did say that. I can't believe she's quadrupling down on this. This is insane.
The president was being targeted, and what we did was echo them. That's what we did. And look, we'll certainly continue to call that out. And the cheap fakes didn't come from me. I didn't coin that. That didn't come from this White House or this podium. That came from the media. They called it cheap fakes, and they said this president, President Biden, was being targeted on misinformation. It was purposefully being done to this president. And what we did is we echoed that. So I don't regret it at all.
Well,
it was just the facts.
Use that sort of approach to counter the Wall Street Journal report, for instance, that interviewed 45 people over several months who criticized, the president's handling of himself in meetings. And broadly,
which approach? I'm not following.
Talking about the president's age being a factor.
I don't understand where
the approach from the White House to criticize the
related.
Reporting, to basically cast the reporting as not true. And broadly, this has been the reason I ask is like the administration's response to our questions often seems to be, don't believe your lying eyes. The border's secure. Afghanistan withdrawal was a success. Inflation's transitory. So is that going to change?
I mean, you just laid out, Jackie, a bunch of things. So just give me a second here. First of all, I think this is a give and take, right? Even in this briefing room, we go back and forth. I go back and forth with you, with your colleagues, with everyone here. And I think we have a right to say if something we don't think is true or something we think we want to push back on. That is a right for us to do, just like you have a right to push me and say, actually, our sources or our reporting say this. I think it's a give and take. This is what makes what we do in this room almost every day. This is an exercise of democracy. This is an exercise of freedom of the press. That's what we're doing here. And I think if there's some reporting that we don't believe to be true, I think it's okay if we go back and forth and say, actually, we don't think that reporting is true. Right? And so I don't see anything wrong with that. That is what this is. That is what this is. This is what we actually do on a daily basis. This is how we lead the world, on making sure that journalism exists.
This is crazy.
And you all have the right to do your jobs. But, we also have our right as the press office here in the administration, if we don't believe something is true or we want to share our side of things, that we do so.
Deflecting
look,
big time.
On the other things that you just listed, I've talked about this president's record a lot, often here, in this just however minutes I've been at this podium. And look, when it comes to the economy, the data shows it. When it comes to healthcare, the data shows it. Afghanistan, obviously, it is an important conversation to have, and that is something that the president wanted to do and end a war, and a forever war. He wanted to make sure that we stop putting our young women and men in harm's way. And that is a difficult decision to make. It is not an easy decision to make. But he's the president and commander-in-chief, and he wanted to make sure that we got our armed troops out of harm's way. And so I honor and respect our back and forth, and it is always an honor and privilege for me to do this job, and I will continue to do that. Go ahead.
Thank you, Karine.
No, Michael.
Okay.
Oh,
Go ahead, Michael.
Okay.
That's it? There's no follow-up? Dude, she completely dodged the question. And she said, I don't understand. I don't, what's the connection to the cheap fakes and us basically lying to you? Well, the fact that you're utilizing the idea of the cheap fakes, saying that what we're seeing and what we're hearing with our eyes and ears isn't real, and that everything that's pushed out there by the media is fake. Joe Biden's sharp, he's crisp, he works out every morning. How do you not understand that? At $180,000 a year. Gosh, she's so bad at her job.
I have two big boy questions. Medium boy, I don't know, whatever. First, does the president intend to spend most of his days in July on vacation in Rehoboth and Wilmington?
We certainly will have more to share on what his schedule is going to look like for the rest of the month. I don't have anything to share at this time. I can assure you the president will be out and about talking directly to the American people. I just laid out the next couple of days. I don't have anything to share beyond beyond NATO, right? As you know, there's going to be the NATO summit next week, so I don't have anything to share beyond that. But the president will be out there talking directly to the American people. I have to be mindful. Obviously, we're in campaign season. The campaign could speak more to what his schedule is going to look like specifically.
Okay. And then the second question, we just posted a story, which probably I'm not sure you've seen because we just posted it in the middle of the briefing, but in which many people that we've talked to describe an accelerating series of episodes, moments when, over the course of the last several weeks, the president appeared confused or listless or would lose the thread of a conversation in private meetings at the G7, in Normandy, at the White House. Not all the time, not saying that that's the way he is all the time and that there's clearly moments people say that he's forceful and with it and all of that. But these people suggest that that what happened, what Americans saw at the debate, has a precursor. What do you say to that?
So I want to be mindful and respect your reporting. I have not read it. I have not seen it, so it's hard for me to respond to it directly. But what I can speak to more broadly is that I have have engagement with the president pretty regularly. What I see is a strong, resolute president who's always willing and able to work on behalf of the American people. I do not know who these folks are that you speak of, so it's hard for me to talk about that and to speak to that. I can just speak to my experience and go back again on the president's record and what he's been able to deliver on behalf of the American people. So I do want to be mindful.
I guess just one follow-up.
Sure.
Is 50 million plus Americans saw the debate last Thursday. They get a very different story from you. You just described a very different sounding president. Obviously, other administration officials describe him very differently than what people saw. How do you reconcile those two versions of a president, one who appeared the way they did to millions of people, and the other who appears always to be, sort of very forceful and not have any of those?
I mean, look, the president spoke to this. What? You heard me speak to this. We believe, and others have said this, not just me, other folks who have been on networks and also obviously has spoken to all of you, it was a 90-minute debate. It was a bad night. That's what we believe it to be. We're not taking away what people saw. We're just not. That is, want to be very clear about that. We want to also make sure people understand that the president realizes. I keep saying this over and over again. He said he's not as young as he used to be, and he has addressed this over and over and over again. But you saw him last night, right? You saw him last night. You saw him at the rally. You saw him at the watch parties. There's been many instances. State of the Union. You saw him take on Republicans by himself.
Stop it.
And what was happening back and forth in the State of the Union. There has been also many instances where the president has really showed his strength and resolute that all of you have seen and commented about it.
See, she keeps saying it's a bad night. What the media need to do, and the reporters in there, is bring up the hours of audio and video that we have of Joe Biden fumbling through his words, fighting with his teleprompter, falling up a flight of stairs, talking with dead people, looking for dead people, taking photos of people at events that were never there in the first place. Like, all those things combined. Explain that one, Karine. Explain that one to all of us. He's sharp, he's mentally fit, but wait a minute, he's old, he's not as sharp as he was before. Like a reed in the wind, she's going back and forth here. Nobody's calling her out.
And so I think we cannot forget that as well. And we also heard from, President Obama, who himself has said, his first debate
because he's trustworthy.
He talked about that. And most incumbents, their first debates aren't great. And so, look, we're going to continue to build.
It's not his first debate. You guys keep bragging that the dude's been in government for 50 years. How many debates is it? This guy's had more debates than Donald Trump would have in a lifetime. What are you talking about?
On the unprecedented record, by continuing to fight for the American people. That is our commitment, and that's what we're going to continue.
He took a week to prepare.
Okay, thanks, Michael. Go ahead.
Thanks, Karine. I have two questions. To follow up on that, you talked about how you've spent time with the president. When you're looking at the time you've spent with him, have you ever seen the president have a bad night like we saw on the debate stage during your time here at the White House?
No.
So were you surprised by what you saw on the debate stage?
I mean, look, I know that he had a cold. Many of you were reaching out to us, to my team and myself directly. You heard the hoarse voice. We were able to confirm he had a cold. He was under the weather, obviously. Look, we all have bad nights, right, or bad moments. It is not unusual. I just said there have been most incumbents, for their first debate. It doesn't go well. So it's not also unusual in that regard as well. So, look, we're going to move forward. That's what we want to do. We want to look forward. We just announced some engagement that the president's going to have. We announced, obviously, the interview with ABC and George Stephanopoulos. He's going to go to Wisconsin. He's going to go to Pennsylvania. We're going to have a press conference next week. We want to turn the page on this. And we want to turn the page for the American people as well, because we know that they need to see him out there. He's going to continue to be out there. He has been. And we understand how important
he hasn't.
Is. And so we're going to turn the page. We're going to get out.
He hasn't been out there, Karine. That's why they keep asking you, will he do a presser? That's why they've been asking you for 4 years, hey, will he actually do a big boy press conference, of which we just heard? There's a reason why they're asking these questions, because they aren't getting one.
Get out there across the country.
Holy Lord.
Americans are going to see him for themselves, and I think that's going to be very important as well.
And has the president had a chance to speak one-on-one with Vice President Harris since the debate?
I can't speak to any conversations that they've had, and so I'll just leave it at that. I don't have any readout of a conversation between the two of them.
Thanks, Karine. So I've spoken to a lot of donors since the debate, and they want to know what exactly happened that night. So just to follow up on MJ's question, I know you said he hadn't taken any cold medication. Was there any other medication he had taken? That's what many of them are asking.
No, I understand. I was asked about the cold medicine. I asked about the cold medicine. He was not taking any cold medicine. And I don't have anything beyond that. I don't have anything beyond that to share. And look, I've answered this question multiple times at this point. I don't have anything else to add beyond what I have shared with your colleagues here in the room.
Can we make the assumption then that he was on drugs, that they gave him something to hop him up? Because she won't talk about, well, he wasn't on anything else. Like, it would be normal. Yeah, he's on some blood thinners, the guy's been losing his hair. He's probably on some vitamin D. We're trying to give him some vitamin C here and there because he was sick or whatever. You can give the cliches. Guys, this guy probably was on something, and she's sitting there basically affirming it for us without actually doing so.
Really, truly want to turn the page on this. We really want to be able to get out there and speak directly to the American people, speak directly to you all, the president will. And I think that's important too. Look, you
guys, you got to admit, I know I keep pausing it, but hell, I mean, that's what we're here for, a little bit of commentary. If he wants to get out there, if you want to turn the page so bad, then one, why not do the cognitive test? And two, why is the president's ass not up there on the podium answering all their questions about his decline in mental acuity? Why is he not up there? You want to turn the page? Turn the page now. Get his ass out there. He's in the White House right now. Put him out there on the podium and answer everybody's questions. We all know why you won't do so, Karine. Hell, probably because it's pretty close to 4 p.m. and that's when he wraps things up and probably takes a little nap time.
Not forget what this president has been able to do the last 3.5 years, how he's been able to deliver. And there is a stark contrast in what this president has done and what Republicans in Congress are doing, right? He's trying to protect our rights as president. He's trying to protect our freedoms. He's trying to protect,
trying to protect your rights. The dude is sitting there trying to ban assault weapons, which he defined previously as all semi-automatic weapons, which is every gun out there. What do you mean, Karine? You wanted to put forth the Ministry of Truth to tell us what's classified as misinformation and disinformation and remove it. There's a Supreme Court case that they just heard that talks about social media companies that worked in conjunction with the Biden administration to suppress conservatives like our channel and others. Don't give me this that you're there for our rights. Come on.
Important programs that matter to the American people. He wants to protect women's rights, Roe v. Wade. He wants to continue to build an economy that works for all.
It's unbelievable.
That's what we're going to focus on. And that's what Americans are going to hear, continue to hear from this president. Anything else, I think I've litigated this a lot already in this briefing room. I just don't have anything else to add. Go ahead, Andrew.
Thank you, Karine. 2 questions.
Sure.
You have repeatedly referred to the president's outing after the debate at the watch party, his remarks the next day in North Carolina, his appearances at fundraisers, his appearances this morning at the DC Emergency Operations Center. All of those appearances were scripted events where he spoke from a most spoke from a teleprompter.
I know, but you said all, but not all.
Okay, well, if you're correcting me, they're most. They're scripted, spoken from a teleprompter. How are Americans supposed to get the sense that the president is fully engaged and capable and thinking off the cuff when he's reading from prepared remarks so often? And why can't he just come down here? The briefing room's 30 seconds away. Why?
Yes, that's what we just said. That is what we just said. Why is he can't just walk down here now? Thank you, for the love of God. Somebody gets it. Ugh.
Why can't he come down here and assure us and the American people that he's okay? And I have a follow-up.
Okay. First of all, it wasn't all. It was when he was speaking in front of the audience, but it wasn't all. When you
what a bitch, man. I'm sorry to say, but that was really bitchy. Well, it's not all.
Think about the tarmac, when you think about engaging at the Waffle House, when you think about engaging at the watch party and doing a very long rope line. And when he was at the tarmac, it was in the middle of the night, literally 2 o'clock at night. We all wanted to go to bed, but the president was certainly very focused and zeroed in on the American people.
See, she keeps implying that this guy's fit. Oh, we can't keep up with him. We all wanted to go to bed, but he wanted to keep going. See this read? It's unbelievable messaging, man.
Who were out there.
Starting to lose my shit.
Cheering him on and wanting to see him and take selfies and get a hug from this president. That's what you saw. And I don't know if you missed this, but I also shared that he has done more than 40 interviews this year alone. And we're going to continue that. He's going to do an interview with ABC, George Stephanopoulos, this week. Those were unscripted. He's done more than 500 gaggles. Those are unscripted. And we want to continue to do that. We do. We want to continue to do that. There's going to be a press conference next week, a NATO, a big boy press conference, as Justin has reminded us, next week. And so that's going to be important as well.
And I have a follow-up. And
sure.
One of my colleagues behind me shouted a similar question to what I'm going to be asking you, but I think given what happened on Thursday, given the reporting in the New York Times and other outlets about the president's more frequent lapses, losing his train of thought, all of us saw what happened on Thursday, where he simply could not form coherent answers to many or some, if you will, of the questions, and appeared to lapse into nonsensical answers at the end. We beat Medicare, for instance. I'm going to ask something delicate, and you may not like it. The president may not like to hear it if he's watching, but I think the American people need to get a yes or no answer on this. Does President Biden, at 81 years old, have Alzheimer's, any form of dementia, or degenerative illness that would cause these sorts of lapses? And it's a yes or no question. And if you don't know,
here we go.
Why don't you, as one of his senior staff members, know the
I
yes
have
or
an
no
answer for you. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
It's a no. And I hope you're asking the other guy the same exact question. Okay.
What? Who the hell would ask Donald Trump if he has Alzheimer's and dementia? What the hell are you talking about, lady? You heard it from the podium. He doesn't have Alzheimer's and dementia, I guess. So what's the cause?
Okay.
The statement that Congressman Duggan put out.
Yeah.
Does the president feel like members, the Democratic congressmen, should be able to speak their minds on this, or does he think, calling for him to withdraw is hurting the party writ large?
I mean, look, that's something about the Democratic Party that we really respect. It is a big tent party. Many people are going to have their opinions. We are going to have our disagreements, and that is what is important. And we really respect other people's opinions and thoughts. I think that's what makes, this party different, right, than the other side. Certainly, we see that with how it's playing out in Congress, or how it tends to play out in Congress.
Yo, I still can't believe that she said no. I still can't believe it. She's been known to lie. I mean, come on. She's a chronic liar. This lady tells very few truths. So we all know what's going on. Just because she says no doesn't solve anything. I mean, he has a range of medical issues, right? Doesn't have any of them. So what was the cause? Just from a bad night? He had the flu. He had a cold. He had a sniffle.
So the congressman is going to have...
It was so bad that they didn't even give him any cold medicine, you guys. That's how bad the cold, the sickness that he felt was so bad that they actually thought, nah, let's not give him anything. Let's just shove him out there.
His opinion. He's going to have his thoughts. That's for him to speak to. We are not, this is not a president that's about his personal politics. That is not this president is all about. He doesn't care only about himself. That is not what this president is all about. And I also read out some supportive statements that we've heard from leaders of Congress. Former Speaker Pelosi, I read out what she laid out. I read out what Congressman Clyburn has said.
Just want to say, folks, we go live every morning, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for our normal show, The Bald Brad Show. We're just covering the White House press briefing. Follow us on Rumble. Follow us on YouTube. We would love your support.
And I think that matters as well. And you all have heard from multiple supporters over the past couple of days since Thursday. And I think that's important as well.
And just to be clear, the president has not spoken to either Senator Schumer or Leader Jeffries?
What I can say is that the president plans to speak to them this week. I don't have anything
Is there a
beyond.
reason though it's been 5 days? I mean,
Well,
you'd think they would have spoken.
no, I hear you. I hear. I addressed this moments ago. The president was on the road for 2.5 days, did 4 states. His advisors, his high-level White House officials were talking to congressional members, as some of you have reported over the past couple of days. I think that's important. They have regularly engaged, not just with congressional members, with governors, with mayors, and then there's the campaign that does it on a political level, right? They've had regular calls. I think some of you have reported on that as well. Now this week, the president is going to take some time and talk to those congressional members, and as I stated, also to Democratic governors tomorrow. Okay.
You mentioned that sometimes the candidates have a bad first debate. There's been a lot of discussion going around, and of course no decision yet, but that maybe there isn't a second debate.
So I want to be super careful. That's something for the campaign to respond to, but I do believe they did respond to this, and I do believe they have responded to this, and they said that there's going to be another debate, but that's something for them to speak to. And I will just quote what President Obama stressed, right? Bad debate nights happen. Trust me, I know. And then he praised President Biden's leadership and his agenda of fighting for the middle class, our freedoms, and the rule of law. And you heard the president speak to the rule of law just last night. And so certainly that will continue. But you've heard from a former president about this particular issue. Go ahead, Mike.
Because you heard from Barack Obama because he's the most trustworthy president in American history. Believe that guy. Okay. Lovely. Nice quote there, Karine. Yeah, like we're going to believe the guy that went after conservatives and Republicans utilizing the IRS as a weapon. Yeah, no, we want to believe that guy real. The guy that tore the social fabric of the country. No, I'm going to believe Barack Obama and his words. Oh, it was just a bad night. We always have one. The dude was so far gone, fumbling through his words. The guy was practically dead. And they had to put more makeup on him from a mortician just the other day to make him look like he's alive. Give me a break.
Michael.
Thanks, Karine. Obama was 51 during that
I kind of knew you would say that.
debate.
I knew you would say that. But he's not the only one. He's not. It has happened in the past. First debates for incumbents, and sometimes it's not their best.
I know you've said a couple times that you want to turn the page.
Yeah.
The issue, I think, the core issue here is that you can't turn the page on age.
Yeah.
Aging decline is a one-way street.
Well,
So
right.
At the end of the day,
Right.
If these are the questions you're getting now, what are the questions you're going to be getting in 2 years or 3 years?
I have thoughts about 2 or 3 years from now, but look,
How can you or anyone say that you have confidence that he can be in this job at that time?
Look, here's what I would say to that. We are not turning the page on age. That's not what we're doing. We understand. We get that, right? The president said, I am not a young man. He said that. We get that. We understand how the American people feel. What we want to continue to do is deliver for the American people. That's what we want to see. That's what the president wants to do. And that's the turning of page. Let's continue on the successes, on the unprecedented successes that this president has had. And on issues that majority of Americans.
If there's so many successes and the successes are coming from the page that's being displayed, why would you want to turn the page? Wouldn't you just stay on the same page? Like if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like if it's working, which it's not, by the way, then why would you need to turn the page? It's like that idea of like, oh, well, we need to transition, but the economy's doing fine, but we need to transition. The economy needs to transition, you guys. But don't worry, we'll get there, but the economy's doing fine. Well, then what would you need to transition into if the economy's fine? It's the continued messaging that literally doesn't make any sense. In the same sentence, she contradicts herself.
Americans care about healthcare, economy. Those are things that they care about. Democracy, freedom, fighting for the rights for women to make decisions on their bodies. That's what the president wants to continue to that's the turning of the page. But we get it. I'm not taking away from that. I don't want to do that. I do not want to walk off this podium and that's what you all think. We're not doing that. And the president doesn't want you all to do that. But he can do the job. He can.
The question about what gives you confidence about 2 years from now or 3 years from now or 5 years?
We believe that this is a president that is able to continue to deliver and build on the unprecedented success that he's been able to do. That's what we believe. We believe, and he believes it, And he is determined and committed to doing that.
Joe also believes that he's still alive. Joe also sees dead people. Joe also believes that he's seeing people that have passed away for 40 years and then he's conversing with them. Joe believes a lot of crazy shit, Karine. Joe believes he's taken photos with people that were never at the events in the first place, not even in the same state. If you can't figure that out, I'm telling you, Joe says he's taking photo ops with people that were never there. He believes a lot of crazy things, Joe, or Karine, and that's why we don't want Joe in office anymore. He's gone.
And Michael, and I think the thing too that's important is we have been able to do things that most modern presidents haven't been able to do, and that matters as well. I know you guys are trying to get me to look into the future, but what I can say to you is this is a president that is committed to doing that.
I'm not sure anybody doubts that commitment.
Yeah.
I think the question is, given the performance, and I apologize.
No, Michael's like, no, you take it.
I mean, I just think the question, it's about, it's the way we look at our elderly parents and grandparents. It's, you maybe visit them once a year and you see troubling signs because you don't live in the same city perhaps, and the first question that you go to is, I wonder if this is like a one-time thing or if it's something that has been happening for a longer time that we need to deal with. And the second question is,
you're going multiple times.
Where are they going to be in a year? Where are they going to be in 2 years? Do we need to put them in a home? All of the questions that go through that.
He was going to say, do we need to put him in a home? And he cut himself off. The White House is a senior citizen home already. Come on.
And this is sort of the American people's version of that.
I hear, and I hear you, and that's what I'm saying. Look, this is why the president goes through, medical examinations, right? And we release those medical examinations, right? We've done that the past couple of years. We're going to continue to do that. This is why we're going to go out there and continue to be out there and do interviews and talk to the American people. And at the end of the day, I got to be careful, right? Because we are in a campaign season. But the American people will see for themselves, right? And I just want to be super, super careful. But look, this is a president that has worked incredibly hard for the American people. And he, not just as president, as vice president, as a senator. And he is committed. And we cannot take away from the fact of his 3.5 years of leadership, what that has been able to do, what he's been able to get done. And that doesn't come from, that doesn't come easily. And he did it in historic fashion. He did. And the data proves that. And so, look, he's committed to continuing to make that progress, continue to work, whether it's climate change, whether it's the economy, whether it's healthcare. That is what he is committed to doing. And he had a bad night. He did. And we are admitting that, owning up to that. You heard the president speak to that, and I think that's important for the American people to hear from us and from him as well. I know I have to go. I'll be back tomorrow, but go ahead.
Thanks, Karine. I just wanted to go back to the Representative Doggett's statement.
Yeah.
Part of his statement, he said that Biden staying in the race could kind of work against helping to save democracy. So I know you said it was a big tent party, people have their opinions, but how do you corral Democrats when there are members of the party who believe that about the president staying in the race? And do you have a response to that specifically?
Yeah, look, this is a president. He jumped into this election, this I can talk about, obviously, in 2020, and I remind you all that he beat the other guy in 2020. He won in 2020. That's why he's president. But he jumped in because of democracy, right? He jumped in because of what was happening, because he believed he needed to do everything that he can to protect our democracy and now protect our freedoms because of what happened with Roe v. Wade. Obviously, we don't agree with that. What we believe is that this is a president that has had, that is going to continue to fight for democracy, and that's going to continue to focus on making sure that, we get Roe v. Wade into law, right? Make sure that IVF is not taken away from families. Make sure that contraception is not taken away from families. Make sure that we fight for our voting rights, right? There are so many things that we need to continue to fight for. And at the end of the day, this is a president that has delivered working closely with Congress and doing some of these things in a bipartisan way. And I think the reason why that he's been able to get some of these legislation done, whether it's the CHIPS and Science Act, the Veterans Act, the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, is because of who he is and because of how he has that experience to work across the aisle. That doesn't happen with everybody, and this president has been able to do that. So we're going to continue to do that work. Guys, I'll see you tomorrow. All right, thanks, everybody.
Just a bad night, you guys. That's all it was. Just a bad night. But they're not going to put forth cognitive tests. They're not going to put him on the podium. I mean, again, they want to turn the page. They want to make a difference. They want to change all of your minds and show that Joe Biden's sharp, that he's with it, that he's fit. Why is he not on the podium? Has never been on that podium. I'm not even sure Joe Biden knows that podium exists or how to get there, even though it's his own White House. It's a remarkable thing, the messaging coming from this administration. But they told us on day one they're going to be the most transparent administration out there. They're going to tell us he had a bad night, that round two he's going to get back up and change. Really? But yet you're going to be a reed in the wind. Well, he's just not who he used to be. He's old. He fumbles through his words at times. He's kind of a geriatric old man. Guy's clueless, but he's going to fix everything. But he's had 3.5 years to do it, and he's only made everything worse. So that's the administration for you, folks. Hell of a live stream hanging out with your Patriots. A lot of people donated. We got a lot of new members here, a lot of new subscribers. We are growing. Would love for you to have a badge next to your name. The perks are that your comments come up first, and I can actually read them, which is nice. It's highlighted for me on my screen here, and amidst of all the other comments, yours shows up. To give you an example, you guys, we get like 14, 15,000 comments a month. And so members, I'm able to have a separate section where theirs comes up first and strictly just members. And so I can actually read theirs first and highlight it. So I appreciate you guys joining me and always taking care of me. Again, we had an ad earlier. It was 1775coffee.com. You can get 40% off. 40% off of a Studio 40 using that code. So Studio 40, use that code to get at 1775coffee.com to get 40% off. That's a great deal, and they support your ideals, and they support this country. So with that being said, folks, we will be back here tomorrow, 7 a.m. sharp, for another episode of The Bald Brad Show. Leave us a comment down below. Hit that like and subscribe button. Support us any way, which way you can. And we'll see you tomorrow here on The Bald Brad Show.